Every person has a voice, but not everyone has learned to use it with power, clarity, and confidence. The ability to speak confidently is not a gift reserved for a select few. It is a skill that can be nurtured, developed, and mastered over time. Speaking confidently is more than just producing words. It is about expressing your thoughts, emotions, and intentions in a way that commands attention, inspires action, and builds connection. Many people struggle with self-doubt, fear of judgment, or anxiety when it comes to speaking in public, or even in small conversations. This struggle can create missed opportunities, personal frustration, and a sense of limitation. The good news is that these challenges can be overcome with practice, awareness, and deliberate effort. Learning to speak clearly begins with understanding yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions. Your words are the bridge that connects your inner world with the outside world. When you speak with clarity and confidence, people not only hear you, they understand you, they feel your conviction, and they are inspired by your message. This book is a journey into the art and science of confident communication. It will guide you through understanding the power of your voice, overcoming fear and anxiety, mastering clarity, harnessing body language, listening, deeply practicing intentionally storytelling, expressing with tone, and creating presence. Each chapter is filled with motivational guidance, practical examples, and real-life stories that will help you not just read about confident speech, but live it. The goal is not to create perfection, because perfection is an illusion. The goal is to help you embrace your unique voice, develop your authentic style, and communicate in a way that reflects the best version of yourself. Imagine standing in front of a group of people, your heart steady, your posture strong, your voice clear and resonant. Your words flow naturally, carrying your message effortlessly into the minds and hearts of those listening. This book will help you reach that moment and beyond, because speaking confidently and clearly is not only about being heard, it is about being understood, being remembered, and making a lasting impact. Your journey begins here with a single decision to embrace the power within you, to practice persistently, and to speak boldly. The chapters ahead are your roadmap, your guide, and your source of inspiration. You will learn techniques to transform nervous energy into compelling presence, strategies to structure your thoughts into clear messages and approaches to create connection and influence with authenticity. By the end of this journey, you will not only speak with confidence and clarity, you will embody it with every word, every gesture, and every breath. Chapter 1. Discovering the power within your voice. Every journey toward confident and clear speech begins with the recognition that your voice is a powerful tool. It is the bridge between your mind and the world, the medium through which your thoughts, emotions, and intentions travel to reach others. Many people underestimate the power of their own voice because they have never learned to use it deliberately. They speak softly or hesitantly, fearing judgment or criticism. They rush through sentences or stumble over words, believing that clarity is something reserved for others. The truth is that every voice has potential, and every person can learn to unlock it. Your voice carries more than sound. It carries your energy, your conviction, and your presence. When you learn to harness it, you are no longer just speaking. You are influencing, inspiring, and connecting. Understanding the power of your voice begins with awareness. Sit quietly and listen to yourself speak. Think about the way your words sound, the rhythm, the pace, the tone, and the emotion behind them. Notice the hesitations, the pauses, the words you repeat, and the moments you lose your thought. Becoming aware of these patterns is the first step in transforming them. Because what we do not notice, we cannot change. Every great speaker began by listening to themselves. Example, consider Maya, a recent college graduate who always felt nervous speaking up in class or during team meetings. She noticed that her sentences were often hurried and unclear, and that her classmates sometimes asked her to repeat herself. She began a simple practice each morning. She read a short passage aloud, recording herself, and then listening to the playback. She paid attention to her tone and how she stressed important words. She experimented with slowing down and breathing between sentences. She also noticed that her posture and energy affected the strength of her voice. Standing upright and taking deep breaths made her voice more resonant and steady over time. Maya began to notice a shift not only in how others heard her, but in how she felt about herself. Speaking became less intimidating and more empowering. Harnessing your voice also involves understanding its impact on those who listen. Imagine entering a room full of people. Your presence alone communicates confidence, even before you say a word. A strong, clear voice adds authority to your ideas. It signals that you are prepared, thoughtful, and intentional. It invites trust and attention. When you speak in a way that conveys certainty and clarity, people are more likely to engage, listen, and respond to your message. Your voice can calm a tense situation, inspire a team to take action, or convey compassion to someone in need. The sound of your voice has the power to create connection and influence outcomes. Example: think of Daniel, a team leader in a fast-paced corporate environment. He often had brilliant ideas, but struggled to get his team to follow through during meetings. His voice tended to be quiet and rushed, causing his colleagues to miss key points. He decided to practice projecting his voice with confidence by reading aloud and rehearsing presentations. He focused on articulating every word clearly and modulating his tone to emphasize important ideas. He also worked on his breathing and posture. During the next team meeting, he noticed immediate changes. His team listened more attentively, asked insightful questions, and responded with enthusiasm. His confidence grew with every meeting, reinforcing the belief that his voice truly mattered. Developing a powerful voice is not just about volume. It is about resonance, clarity, energy, and authenticity. It is about aligning your words with your intentions and letting your personality shine through your voice. Becomes a tool to express your identity and your unique perspective. The more authentically you speak, the more people are drawn to listen. The world does not need another voice that imitates others. It needs your voice in its truest form. Daily practices can transform your voice into a powerful instrument. Begin with simple exercises. Take deep breaths and exhale slowly while speaking a few sentences aloud. Focus on enunciating each word clearly and deliberately. Experiment with the pace and rhythm of your speech. Observe how different tones convey different emotions. Speak in front of a mirror to become comfortable with your gestures, facial expressions, and posture. Record your voice and listen critically, identifying areas for improvement and strengths. Celebrate small improvements and be patient with yourself, because mastery does not come overnight. Example: Rachel, a young teacher, struggled to command attention in her classroom. Her voice often felt weak, and she noticed students talking over her. She started dedicating 10 minutes every morning to reading aloud with focus on projection and clarity. She noticed her confidence increased, and her students became more engaged. She also began telling small stories to make lessons more interesting and discovered that her natural enthusiasm amplified the power of her words. Over time, Rachel became known as a teacher whose presence and voice could captivate any room. Confidence begins internally, but manifests externally. The way you feel about your voice affects how you use it. When you believe in your voice, it shows when you practice using it deliberately. You notice improvements. When you persist in refining it, you transform your presence and impact. Speaking confidently and clearly is a journey that starts with awareness, appreciation, and consistent practice. Your voice is your signature, your instrument, your unique expression of thought and emotion. Treat it with care, nurture it with attention, and empower it with intention. The more you honor your voice, the more it will honor you in return. Chapter 2. Overcoming fear and anxiety. Fear is one of the greatest obstacles to speaking confidently and clearly. It is the silent force that keeps many voices locked inside, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Fear whispers that you are not good enough, that people will judge you, or that you will stumble over your words. Fear creates tension in the body, a racing mind, and a trembling voice, which makes every attempt at communication feel exhausting and frustrating. Understanding fear is the first step in overcoming it. Fear is natural. It is not a sign of weakness or inadequacy. It is a signal that you are about to step into growth and challenge. Every successful speaker has felt fear before stepping onto a stage or facing an important conversation. The difference is that they have learned to use fear as fuel rather than allowing it to control them. Anxiety is the physical manifestation of fear. It causes shallow breathing, tightness in the chest, and rapid thoughts that make speaking clearly feel impossible. The key is to transform these sensations into energy that enhances your presence rather than diminishes it. You can do this by cultivating awareness of your body and mind, and by practicing techniques that reduce tension and increase focus. Before speaking, take a moment to notice your posture. Straighten your back, relax your shoulders, and take a slow, deep breath. Feel your body grounded and steady, and allow your mind to focus on the message you wish to deliver, rather than on imagined judgment or failure. Example: consider Leo, a young professional who dreaded giving presentations. His palms would sweat, his voice would crack, and his thoughts would scatter in meetings. He decided to approach his fear deliberately by rehearsing in safe environments first. He would practice speaking in front of a mirror, then gradually in front of close friends, family. He focused on breathing exercises that slowed his heart rate and used visualization techniques, imagining himself delivering each presentation with calm clarity. Over time, he noticed that the anxiety that once paralyzed him transformed into energy that made his presentations more engaging. His fear became a tool rather than a barrier. Visualization is a powerful technique for overcoming fear and building confidence. Imagine yourself speaking clearly and confidently in the exact situation that makes you anxious. Picture every detail: the room, the people, the way you stand, and the clarity of your voice. See the audience responding positively, nodding and smiling. Feel the calm energy in your body as you deliver your words. Imagine mistakes occurring if they do, and observe yourself handling them gracefully. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind and body to respond with confidence when the real moment comes. Example: Sarah, an aspiring entrepreneur, had to pitch her ideas to investors, but was terrified of being judged. She began visualizing her presentations every morning, including the investors nodding and asking thoughtful questions. She imagined herself speaking clearly and confidently. Even if she stumbled, she saw herself recovering with poise. When the day of the pitch arrived, she felt a familiar, but it was tempered by months of visualization practice. Her words flowed naturally, her ideas were clear, and she captivated the investors because she had trained her mind to anticipate success rather than fear failure. Preparation is another essential tool in overcoming fear. Nothing reduces anxiety like knowing exactly what you want to say and how you will say it. Structuring your ideas in advance and practicing them multiple times builds confidence because the unknown is minimized. When you are prepared, your voice becomes a natural extension of your thoughts, rather than a vehicle struggling to carry unorganized ideas. Example: imagine Omar, a student who had to deliver a speech in front of his class. He wrote his speech and practiced it daily, speaking slowly and deliberately. He also anticipated questions and prepared responses. The day of the presentation, he still felt a flutter of nervousness, but his preparation allowed him to speak confidently and answer questions smoothly. His classmates responded with interest, and his teacher praised the clarity and confidence of his delivery. Mindfulness and breathing techniques are also crucial in managing fear and anxiety. Deep conscious breathing signals to your body that it is safe to relax and allows your mind to focus. Your thoughts slow down and your words flow more naturally. Combining deep breaths with visualization and positive affirmations creates a mental and physical environment in which fear loses its grip. Example: Emily, a teacher, struggled with anxiety before staff meetings. She began practicing a routine of inhaling deeply for 4 counts, holding for 2 counts, and exhaling for 6 counts. She combined this with saying affirmations to herself, such as "I am calm," "I am capable," "I communicate with clarity." Before each meeting, she took a moment to perform this routine and noticed her voice was steadier, her mind was sharper, and her presence was more assured. Over time, the practice reduced her overall anxiety and increased her confidence in all speaking situations. It is also important to redefine failure in the context of speaking. Fear often arises from a desire to be perfect, to never make a mistake. Yet every speaker makes mistakes. The difference is in how they respond. Mistakes are opportunities to learn to refine your message and to show authenticity and resilience. Embracing imperfection allows your voice to be free and expressive rather than stiff and hesitant. Example: Daniel, a young lawyer, feared courtroom presentations because he worried about making errors. He began practicing with the understanding that mistakes were not catastrophic, but part of the learning process. He noticed that when he allowed himself to speak naturally, without fear of judgment, his arguments became more persuasive, and his presence more commanding. His confidence grew because he reframed mistakes as tools for improvement, rather than reasons for fear. Overcoming fear and anxiety is not an overnight process. It is a journey of repeated practice, awareness, reflection, and gradual exposure. Each time you speak, despite fear, you grow stronger. Each time you face anxiety and channel it constructively, you reinforce the belief in your capability. Every voice has the potential to inspire and lead, and every person has the power to overcome the internal barriers that prevent them from expressing it. Your voice is not meant to be hidden. Your thoughts, your ideas, and your emotions deserve to be expressed. Your fear is natural, but it does not define you. It is a signal that you are stepping toward growth and impact. The more you practice facing it, the more your voice will rise above it, and the clearer, more confident, and more authentic your communication will become. Chapter 3: The Art of Clarity. Clarity in speech is one of the most powerful tools you can develop when you learn to speak confidently. Your words carry weight only when your audience understands your message. Confusion weakens even the most important ideas, while clarity transforms simple thoughts into inspiration and action. Speaking clearly begins in your mind. If your thoughts are jumbled, your words will follow the same pattern. Learning to organize your ideas is the first step toward expressing yourself with precision and authority. Every idea you wish to convey must have a purpose. Every sentence should connect seamlessly to the next, so your listeners can follow without effort. When clarity becomes a habit, it elevates your confidence because you know exactly what you want to communicate and how to communicate it. The journey toward clarity begins with simplification. Complex language jargon and overcomplicated sentences can obscure meaning. Even the most brilliant thoughts lose their impact when buried beneath unnecessary words. The art of clear speech is in choosing the simplest words that convey your meaning powerfully. Think of your message as a beam of light. You want it to shine brightly without being scattered. The more concise and direct your language, the easier it is for your audience to absorb and engage with your ideas. Example: consider Jonathan, a marketing professional, tasked with presenting a new strategy to his team. He initially drafted his presentation filled with technical terms, industry jargon, and long sentences. His team struggled to grasp the main points, and questions remained unanswered. Jonathan decided to rewrite his slides using simple language and focused on 3 core ideas. He practiced delivering the presentation aloud, emphasizing each point clearly. The result was immediate. His team understood the strategy quickly and engaged enthusiastically in discussion. His clarity not only conveyed information, but also inspired confidence in his leadership. Another aspect of clarity is structuring your message in a logical and compelling flow. Start with a strong introduction that establishes your purpose and captures attention. Then move through your points in a sequence that builds understanding and interest. Conclude with a summary that reinforces your key ideas and leaves a lasting impression. When your message has a clear structure, your audience can follow effortlessly, and your confidence naturally grows because you are guiding the conversation rather than reacting to it. Example: think of Aisha, a nonprofit coordinator who needed to explain a complex fundraising plan to a group of volunteers. She realized that presenting all the details at once caused confusion. She restructured her talk by starting with the overall vision, then breaking down the steps sequentially, and finally summarizing the expected impact. Her volunteers were more engaged and motivated because they understood not only what needed to be done, but also why it mattered. Clarity in her speech created clarity in their action. Clarity is also about intentional emphasis. When you know which words or phrases are most important, you can highlight them through tone, pacing, and repetition. Repetition reinforces key points, while pauses allow your audience to absorb the message. Emphasizing important words with slight changes in volume or pitch draws attention and makes your speech more compelling. Avoid speaking in a monotonous tone because it can dilute the impact of your message. Example: Michael, a project manager, noticed that his team often missed deadlines because they did not grasp critical details in meetings. He began emphasizing deadlines and responsibilities by slowing down his speech slightly and pausing after each key point. He repeated critical information using different phrasing to ensure understanding. His team responded by improving performance and taking accountability because the message was clear and memorable. Listening deeply to your own speech is another essential practice. Record your voice when you practice and play it back critically. Notice which parts sound smooth and which parts feel tangled or rushed. Ask yourself if someone hearing this for the first time would understand your meaning. If not, refine your language, adjust pacing, and practice again. The more familiar you become with how your speech sounds to others, the more effective you will become in communicating clearly. Example: Rachel, a lawyer preparing for courtroom arguments, used to stumble over long legal explanations. She recorded her practice sessions and listened carefully to identify phrases that were unclear or awkward. She rewrote sentences in plain language and practiced again. The clarity she achieved not only strengthened her argument, but also increased her confidence in presenting to judges and juries. Clarity also comes from connecting your words to concrete examples and imagery. Abstract concepts can confuse audiences, while vivid examples create understanding and resonance. Stories, metaphors, and visual imagery make your message tangible and memorable. When you combine clarity of thought with clarity of expression, your speech becomes a bridge between your ideas and the minds of your listeners. Example: Daniel, a science teacher, wanted to explain the concept of electricity to his students. Instead of giving abstract definitions, he compared it to water flowing through pipes and demonstrated with simple experiments. His students understood immediately because he translated complex ideas into clear and relatable language. The clarity of his speech allowed them to grasp not only the concept, but also the excitement and importance of learning it. Finally, clarity requires patience both in thought and speech. Take your time to formulate sentences before speaking. Avoid rushing through words or filling silence with meaningless sounds. Pauses. Give both you and your audience space to process ideas and reflect on meaning. Speaking clearly does not mean speaking quickly. It means speaking deliberately and with intention. Your presence and calm composure add weight and clarity to your words. Example: Sophia, a motivational speaker, observed that audiences often missed her points when she spoke quickly due to excitement. She practiced slowing down her speech while emphasizing key ideas and adding intentional pauses. The result was a more engaged audience who could follow her message easily and respond with enthusiasm. Her clarity amplified her confidence and presence on stage. Clarity is a lifelong practice. It requires consistent awareness, reflection, and refinement. Each time you speak with attention to structure, simplicity, and deliberate emphasis, you strengthen your ability to convey your ideas effectively. The more you practice clarity, the more naturally it flows, and the more your confidence grows, because you know that your words will be understood and respected. Your voice becomes not only heard but valued, and your presence commands attention, because clarity and confidence are inseparable. Chapter 4. Body language speaks louder than words. The way you carry yourself communicates far more than the words you speak. Your posture, gestures, facial expressions, and movements are all part of the silent language that conveys confidence, clarity, and presence. Many people focus solely on what they say without realizing that how they present themselves can either strengthen or weaken their message. Body language is the vessel that carries your words and emotions into the minds of your audience. When your body and words are aligned, your speech becomes compelling and authentic. When they are not aligned, your audience senses hesitation, uncertainty, or lack of confidence, and even the clearest words lose impact. Standing tall is the foundation of confident body language. Straighten your back, pull your shoulders slightly back, and lift your chin just enough to feel poised, but not rigid. Your stance communicates readiness, authority, and self-assurance. It signals to your audience that you are fully present and engaged, and that your message matters. The energy in your body flows naturally into your voice, making it stronger and more resonant. A confident posture also affects your mind. It signals to yourself that you are capable and prepared, which reduces fear and anxiety. Example: think of Alex, a young teacher who struggled to hold students' attention. He realized that his hunched posture and fidgeting made his voice sound weaker and less commanding. He began practicing standing upright, with shoulders relaxed and feet firmly planted. He added deliberate hand gestures to emphasize points. Over time, he noticed students were more attentive and responsive. His presence became magnetic because his body language reinforced the clarity and confidence in his words. Gestures are another powerful tool for reinforcing your message. They can illustrate ideas, emphasize points, and create visual rhythm for your audience. However, gestures must be purposeful rather than random. Aim for open gestures that invite connection rather than closed gestures that create barriers. Avoid crossing your arms or hiding your hands, which signals defensiveness or hesitation. Use your hands to mirror the size and importance of your ideas. Larger movements can convey excitement or significance, while smaller, subtle movements can convey nuance or focus. Example: consider Mia, a manager giving a presentation on a new project. She initially kept her hands in her pockets, which made her seem distant. Her message was strong, but her team seemed disengaged. She began using open hand gestures to highlight key points, and occasionally stepping forward to emphasize important ideas. The energy shift was immediate. Her team leaned in and responded enthusiastically because her body language amplified the clarity and passion of her words. Eye contact is another critical element of confident body language. It creates trust and connection while demonstrating engagement and attentiveness. Maintain eye contact without staring or darting your eyes away too frequently. A balanced approach allows your audience to feel seen while you gather confidence and focus. Eye contact also signals sincerity and authority. People are more likely to listen to and believe someone who looks them in the eyes because it conveys authenticity. Example: Daniel, a salesperson, struggled to close deals because he avoided eye contact in meetings. His clients often seemed unconvinced and distracted. He began practicing maintaining eye contact while speaking and listening. He noticed that clients responded more positively and were more engaged in conversation. The simple adjustment of connecting visually transformed his presence and the effectiveness of his communication. Facial expressions also communicate emotion and emphasis. They provide nonverbal cues that reinforce your words. A smile can convey warmth, friendliness, and openness. A raised eyebrow can signal curiosity or emphasis. A serious expression can convey authority or focus. Being aware of your expressions allows you to align your emotions with your message and create resonance with your audience. Example: Rachel, a motivational speaker, noticed that her expressions were often flat when delivering emotional stories. She practiced expressing emotions naturally and intentionally through her face while speaking. Her audience responded more emotionally and connected more deeply with her message. Her presence became more captivating because her body language reflected the authenticity of her words. Movement and space. Use the way you move in a room or on stage also adds to your presence. Purposeful movement draws attention to key points and engages your audience, whereas pacing randomly or fidgeting distracts and conveys nervousness. Step forward to emphasize important ideas. Pause to allow reflection, or gesture toward visual aids to create connection. Every movement should be intentional and reinforce your message. Example: Omar, a lecturer, often wandered around the classroom without purpose. Students became distracted and his points were lost. He began planning movements to correspond with key parts of his lecture, stepping forward when highlighting important ideas and pausing to let students absorb. The result was a more focused, attentive audience, and his confidence grew because his body and words worked in harmony. Mirroring and matching the energy of your audience can also enhance connection and engagement. Subtle alignment in posture, tone, and pace creates rapport, but it must remain authentic. Overdoing it can appear artificial, but small adjustments make your audience feel understood and connected, which amplifies the impact of your words. Example: Emily, a trainer, noticed participants disengaging during her workshops. She subtly matched the energy of her audience by slowing down her speech and using gestures similar to theirs while maintaining her message. She observed a more positive atmosphere with higher participation and responsiveness. The alignment of energy reinforced her clarity and boosted her confidence in leading the session. Body language also has an internal effect. It influences how you feel and how your voice projects. Adopting power poses before speaking can increase confidence and reduce stress. Hormonal responses to posture influence energy levels, presence, and assertiveness. Even standing in a confident posture for a few minutes before a meeting or presentation can have a measurable impact on your performance and voice. Example: Leo, a young executive, used to feel intimidated during board meetings. He started practicing power poses in private before stepping into the room. Standing with feet firmly grounded, hands on hips and shoulders back, he noticed a surge in energy and calmness. His voice sounded stronger, his ideas flowed more clearly, and his presence commanded attention. Every gesture, posture, expression, and movement contributes to the invisible narrative that accompanies your words. When your body and voice are aligned, your speech becomes compelling, authentic, and unforgettable. Developing body language is not a matter of imitation, but awareness, deliberate practice, and authenticity. The more you refine your non-verbal communication, the more natural and confident your presence becomes. Your audience will respond not only to the words you speak, but to the energy, authority, and clarity your body conveys. Mastering body language is an ongoing journey of observation and practice. Stand tall, use gestures, intentionally maintain eye contact, express emotions, authentically move purposefully, and notice the effect on both your audience and yourself. The combination of confident body language and clear speech creates a presence that cannot be ignored. It amplifies your message, empowers your voice, and inspires those who listen. Your body is the silent partner in your journey to speak confidently and clearly. It carries your words with strength, clarity, and authenticity, transforming every interaction into an opportunity to connect and impact. Chapter 5. Listening to speak better. Listening is one of the most underrated skills when it comes to speaking confidently and clearly. Many people think that speaking is about producing words, but true communication begins with listening. When you listen deeply, you understand not only the words being said, but also the emotions, intentions, and unspoken. Listening allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. It creates connection, trust, and understanding, and it enhances clarity because your words are informed by insight rather than assumption. The more you practice active listening, the more natural and confident your speech becomes, because it is rooted in awareness and relevance. Active listening begins with presence. Be fully engaged in the moment with the person or audience you are communicating with. Avoid thinking ahead to what you will say, or letting your mind wander. Focus on hearing not just words, but the meaning and emotion behind them. Pay attention to tone, rhythm, pauses, and body language. These cues reveal intentions and feelings that are crucial to responding with clarity and empathy. Example: consider Emma, a customer service representative who often found herself struggling to resolve client issues quickly. She realized that she sometimes interrupted clients or jumped to conclusions without fully understanding their concerns. She began practicing active listening by allowing clients to finish speaking before responding and by summarizing what she heard to ensure accuracy. Her responses became more precise, thoughtful, and effective, and her clients felt heard and valued. This not only reduced frustration, but also increased her confidence in handling challenging interactions. Listening also involves asking thoughtful questions that clarify meaning and show engagement. When you ask questions, you demonstrate attentiveness and curiosity. You gain deeper understanding and invite collaboration. Questions also give you time to organize your thoughts before responding, which naturally enhances clarity and confidence. Example: Raj, a young engineer, often struggled in team discussions because he felt pressure to respond quickly. He began asking clarifying questions such as, "Can you explain what you mean by that?" Or "How do you see this working in practice?" This allowed him to gather more information before speaking and gave him time to formulate clear responses. His contributions became more valued, and his confidence in meetings increased significantly. Another critical aspect of listening is observing patterns in communication. Recognize how people express themselves verbally and non-verbally. Notice recurring themes, concerns, or motivations. This insight helps you tailor your message to be more relevant and impactful. When your speech is grounded in understanding your audience, your words are received with clarity and respect. Example: Lily, a nonprofit coordinator preparing to present a new program, noticed that her volunteers often expressed concerns about logistics and time commitments. She listened carefully during planning meetings and incorporated their feedback into her presentation. She addressed concerns proactively and framed key points in a way that resonated with their priorities. As a result, her presentation was well received, and volunteers were motivated to participate because her words reflected genuine understanding. Listening to yourself is equally important for developing clarity and confidence in speech. Record your voice during practice sessions and pay attention to pacing, tone, clarity, and coherence. Listening critically allows you to identify areas for improvement and reinforces awareness of your natural strengths. When you can listen objectively to your own speech, you gain control over how you express ideas in real time. Example: Daniel, an aspiring motivational speaker, used recordings of his speeches to analyze clarity and engagement. He noticed that certain words or phrases were repeated unnecessarily, and that his pacing was uneven. He practiced adjusting these elements, and over time, his delivery became smoother, more confident, and more compelling. His awareness of his own voice enhanced his ability to connect with audiences authentically. Empathy is a crucial outcome of listening. The more you understand the perspective of your audience, the more effectively you can communicate. Your words gain resonance when they are informed by the needs, hopes, fears, and motivations of those listening. When you speak from a place of understanding, your voice naturally conveys confidence because it is anchored in truth and relevance. Example: Sophia, a team leader, noticed that her department was disengaged and resistant to new processes. She spent time listening to each team member's concerns and experiences. She reflected their perspectives in her communication and explained how the changes addressed their needs. Her clarity and confidence grew because she knew her words were grounded in genuine understanding, and the team responded positively because they felt heard. Listening also helps manage fear and anxiety in communication. When you focus on understanding others, you shift attention away from your own insecurities. This allows your mind to process information calmly and respond with clarity rather than reacting impulsively or nervously. Deep listening creates a rhythm in conversations that naturally enhances confidence. Example: Omar, a young lawyer preparing for negotiations, felt anxious about potential objections. He practiced listening attentively to colleagues and mock clients to anticipate responses. He focused on understanding rather than reacting. When the negotiation occurred, he remained composed and delivered clear, persuasive arguments because his attention was grounded in understanding the other party's perspective rather than his own fear. Finally, listening cultivates patience and mindfulness, which are essential for confident communication. Speaking clearly requires thoughtful pacing, reflection, and adaptation, which can only be achieved through attentive listening. Listening slows down your mental processes, allowing you to organize your thoughts and select the most effective words. It is through listening that you gain the insight and self-assurance necessary to communicate powerfully. Example: Rachel, a teacher, struggled to maintain control of classroom discussions. She began actively listening to her students, summarizing their ideas, and asking clarifying questions. She noticed that students became more focused and discussions were more productive. Her confidence increased because she knew her responses were informed and precise, and her speech naturally became clearer and more authoritative. Mastering listening is an ongoing practice. It involves awareness, empathy, patience, observation, and self-reflection. Every time you listen deeply, you gather information not only about others, but about yourself and your communication style. Listening enhances clarity because it informs your words and strengthens confidence because it allows you to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively. When your voice is guided by understanding, it becomes powerful, magnetic, and authentic. It connects minds, hearts, and ideas, creating influence that is both meaningful and lasting. Chapter 6: The Role of Practice and Feedback. Confidence and clarity in speech are not gifts that magically appear overnight. They are skills cultivated through deliberate practice, reflection, and refinement. Every accomplished speaker invests hours practicing the delivery of words, the organization of ideas, and the projection of presence. The act of speaking is only one part of the process. The true mastery lies in repeating, deliberately observing yourself, learning from mistakes, and applying insights. Consistently, practice builds familiarity and comfort with your voice and message, which allows your confidence to grow naturally. The more intentional your practice, the more efficiently your skills develop. Practicing aloud is essential because speaking engages the voice, mind, and body simultaneously. Reading silently or thinking through ideas does not prepare you for the physical and emotional demands of speaking. Your voice needs exercise to become strong and flexible. Practice allows you to experiment with tone, pacing, emphasis, and gestures. It also trains your mind to organize thoughts clearly and respond in real time. Practice is the laboratory where clarity and confidence are forged. Example: consider Sarah, a young professional preparing for a critical presentation at work. She began by reading her slides aloud, alone, to become comfortable with the words and phrasing. She then practiced in front of a mirror, noticing her posture, facial expressions, and hand movements. She recorded herself to listen for clarity and rhythm. After several iterations, she noticed her speech became more fluid, confident, and engaging. When she finally delivered the presentation to her team, she felt poised and in control because her practice had prepared both her voice and her mind. Feedback is a crucial companion to practice because it provides perspective you may not notice yourself. It is one thing to feel confident about your speech and another to understand how others perceive it. Feedback illuminates blind spots and reinforces strengths. It can come from mentors, colleagues, friends, or even recordings of yourself. Listening to feedback requires humility and a growth mindset. Rather than fearing criticism, embrace it as guidance toward improvement. The combination of practice and feedback creates a cycle of continuous growth and refinement. Example: Raj, an aspiring motivational speaker, practiced his talk in front of close friends. He asked them to point out areas that were unclear or slow, and to highlight moments that were compelling. Their observations helped him refine transitions between ideas, adjust pacing, and emphasize key points. He also recorded his speeches and listened critically, noticing subtle pronunciation issues and pacing inconsistencies. By combining feedback with practice, his speech became more polished, engaging, and confident. Deliberate practice means focusing on specific aspects of your speech, rather than simply repeating it mindlessly. Identify areas for improvement, such as tone, clarity, pacing, gestures, or articulation, and design exercises that target these elements. Small, focused improvements compound over time into noticeable transformation. Practicing with intention turns effort into progress. Example: Emma, a teacher, noticed that her students often asked her to repeat instructions. She dedicated part of her daily practice to slowing her speech and enunciating words more clearly. She also experimented with varying her tone and emphasizing keywords. She practiced these techniques consistently over several weeks and observed significant improvement in her students' comprehension and attention. Her confidence grew alongside the clarity of her voice. Practice also includes preparing for unexpected situations. Mistakes and interruptions are inevitable in real conversations and presentations. How you handle them demonstrates your confidence and poise. Rehearsing responses to potential questions, objections, or mistakes reduces anxiety and improves clarity because you are not caught off guard. Preparedness enhances your natural presence. Example: Daniel, a lawyer, anticipated difficult questions during a courtroom presentation. He practiced answers to challenging scenarios and visualized maintaining composure even if he stumbled on a point. During the actual presentation, he remained calm and articulate. His preparation allowed him to speak confidently and respond effectively without hesitation. Consistency is key when it comes to practice. Confidence and clarity do not emerge from sporadic effort. They are strengthened by daily or regular engagement with your voice and message. Short, focused sessions are often more effective than long, infrequent ones. Regular practice builds muscle memory in your voice and mind, allowing your speech to flow naturally in real situations. Example: Lily, a nonprofit coordinator, practiced delivering her presentations aloud for 15 minutes each day. She noticed that her phrasing became smoother, her emphasis more deliberate, and her confidence more steady. Over months of consistent effort, she became known for delivering clear, compelling messages that inspired action and engagement. Self-reflection is another essential aspect of practice. It allows you to evaluate what worked well, what needs improvement, and how your audience responded. Reflection turns experience into insight, which guides future improvement. Consider keeping a journal of your speaking experiences, noting challenges, successes, and areas for growth. This habit strengthens both clarity and confidence over time. Example: Omar, a young entrepreneur, kept notes after each client meeting, noting which explanations were clear, which questions were misunderstood, and how he felt during the discussion. By reviewing these notes, he identified patterns and adjusted his delivery in future meetings. His speech became more concise, confident, and effective as a result. The combination of practice and feedback creates a powerful cycle. Practice allows you to experiment, refine, and internalize skills, while feedback provides perspective and guidance. Each cycle increases confidence and clarity, making the next practice session more effective. Over time, the transformation becomes visible not only to yourself, but to every person who hears you speak. Example: Rachel, a teacher, combined daily reading aloud practice with feedback from colleagues. She experimented with pacing, emphasis, gestures, and tone, and applied the observations she received. She noticed a profound improvement in both student engagement and her own self-confidence. Her voice became a tool for connection, influence, and clarity because of the consistent practice and constructive feedback. Mastering the role of practice in feedback requires patience, perseverance, and intentionality. Every minute spent practicing aloud, every observation noted, every adjustment made compounds into stronger communication skills. Confidence grows when your body, mind, and voice become familiar with each other and with your message. Feedback accelerates this growth by pointing the way forward. Practice without feedback risks stagnation, while feedback without practice fails to produce tangible results. Together, they form the foundation of clear, confident communication. Your journey towards speaking confidently and clearly is built one deliberate practice session at a time, reinforced with insight from feedback. The more you embrace the process, the more naturally your voice will flow, your ideas will resonate, and your presence will inspire and influence. The mastery of speech is a lifelong journey, and the dedication to practice and feedback ensures that every step brings you closer to your fullest potential as a communicator. Chapter 7. Storytelling as a tool. Stories are one of the most powerful instruments a speaker can use because they make ideas tangible, memorable, and emotionally resonant. Humans are wired to respond to narratives because stories connect logic and emotion in a way that facts and instructions alone cannot. When you speak with stories, your audience can visualize experience and feel the message rather than just hear it. Storytelling transforms ordinary speech into an experience that captivates attention, inspires action, and creates connection. The first step in using storytelling effectively is understanding the essence of your story. Every story you tell should have a purpose. It should illustrate a principal, idea, or lesson that supports the message you wish to convey. A story without purpose may entertain, but it will not enhance clarity or confidence. Knowing why you're telling a story gives structure and helps you deliver it with focus and conviction. Example: consider Lily, a nonprofit advocate who needed to convey the importance of a new program to potential donors. Instead of listing statistics, she shared the story of a single individual whose life was transformed by the program. She described the challenges, the small victories, and the ultimate impact in vivid detail. Her audience connected, emotionally understood the value immediately, and responded with support because the story made the message tangible and memorable. The second step is crafting your story for impact. This involves setting the scene, introducing characters, describing the conflict or challenge, and showing resolution or learning. A compelling story draws the listener in and creates anticipation and engagement. Details should be vivid yet concise, focusing on the elements that enhance understanding and emotional connection. Avoid overloading with unnecessary information that distracts from the core message. Example: Daniel, a manager, wanted to encourage his team to embrace innovation. Instead of giving abstract motivational statements, he told a story about a previous project where creative problem-solving led to remarkable results. He described the initial setbacks, the collaboration of the team, and the final breakthrough. His team could relate to the characters and situation, and became inspired to apply the same mindset to their work, because the story made the concept practical and emotionally engaging. Delivery is as important as content in storytelling. Tone, pacing, gestures, and pauses shape how your story is received. A well-timed pause before a key revelation builds anticipation. A change in tone emphasizes emotion or significance. Gestures and facial expressions help illustrate action and feelings. The story becomes not just a recounting of events, but a live experience for the audience. Example: Sarah, a teacher, wanted to illustrate the importance of perseverance. She shared a personal story of struggling with a challenging subject in school. Her voice rose and fell with emotion. She paused at moments of suspense and used gestures to show frustration and triumph. Students leaned in and absorbed the lesson deeply because the delivery made the story come alive in a way that abstract statements could not. Authenticity is crucial in storytelling. Audiences respond to speakers who are genuine because authenticity builds trust. Every detail you share should reflect truth and sincerity. Exaggeration or fabrication may capture attention momentarily, but it undermines credibility and confidence. Your story should reflect your experiences, ideas, or observations in a way that connects with the audience genuinely. Example: Michael, a corporate trainer, noticed that fabricated anecdotes failed to engage participants. He began sharing stories based on real experience in his career, including both successes and failures. He noticed that participants connected more deeply with his lessons because the stories were relatable and authentic. His confidence grew because he no longer had to pretend or embellish his message to have impact. Storytelling also aids clarity because it organizes complex ideas into a sequence that is easy to follow. Stories provide a natural structure with a beginning, middle, and end, allowing your audience to absorb information in manageable segments and reinforcing the main message through narrative continuity. When abstract concepts are framed within a story, they are easier to understand, remember, and act upon. Example: Raj, a young engineer, needed to explain a complex technical process to a group of non-technical stakeholders. He created a story where a character faced a problem requiring step-by-step solutions, mirroring the process Raj needed to communicate. By presenting the steps within the context of the story, stakeholders grasped the process clearly and engaged enthusiastically because the narrative provided clarity and context. Emotional connection is another key benefit of storytelling. People remember how they feel more than they remember facts. When your story evokes emotions, it creates resonance and motivates action. A confident speaker uses storytelling to bridge logic and feeling, allowing the audience to internalize ideas deeply. Example: Emily, a motivational speaker, used stories of individuals overcoming adversity to illustrate resilience. Her audience not only understood the principles she was teaching, but also felt inspired and empowered to act, because the stories created a deep emotional connection, reinforcing the message. Stories can also make you a more confident speaker, because they provide a framework to anchor your words. When you have a story to tell, you are less likely to lose your train of thought or become nervous. You can guide your audience naturally through the narrative, allowing your presence to shine without overthinking each word. Example: Rachel, a young professional, feared speaking in client meetings. She prepared stories related to each key point she wanted to make. During the meetings, she told these stories to illustrate ideas. The narrative structure helped her speak fluidly with confidence and authority, and the clients responded positively because the message was clear and engaging. Finally, storytelling is a versatile tool that can be adapted to any situation. From presentations to casual conversations, personal anecdotes to historical examples, stories create connection, clarity, and influence. They amplify your voice and enhance your presence because they make abstract ideas tangible, evoke emotion, and demonstrate authenticity. A confident speaker embraces storytelling, not as decoration, but as a strategic and natural part of communication. Example: Omar, a leader in a technology company, incorporated storytelling into team meetings and corporate presentations. He used real projects, challenges, and successes to illustrate lessons. He noticed that his team became more engaged, his message more memorable, and his influence more effective because stories created clarity, connection, and emotional resonance. Mastering storytelling is a journey of observation, reflection, practice, and authenticity. Study stories that inspire you. Notice the elements that create impact. Practice telling stories aloud, observing tone, gestures, pacing, and audience response, and refine until your delivery is compelling and natural. When your stories are aligned with your voice, your body language, and your message, your speech becomes not only clear and confident, but unforgettable and transformative. Chapter 8. Tone Modulation and Expression. Tone is the invisible brush that paints your words with emotion and energy. A message delivered in monotone loses impact. Even if the content is brilliant, modulating your tone brings life, clarity, and emphasis to your speech. It conveys emotion, signals importance, and creates engagement. Just as a musician varies the pitch and volume of notes to create harmony and interest, a speaker uses tone to guide the audience through the meaning and feeling behind the words. When you master tone modulation, your words resonate not only intellectually, but emotionally, creating connection and impact. The first step in mastering tone is awareness. Notice the natural pitch, rhythm, and cadence of your speech. Record yourself speaking and listen carefully. Observe when your voice rises, when it falls, where pauses occur, and where monotony creeps in. Awareness allows you to understand your baseline and identify areas for adjustment. Conscious listening to your own voice is a form of practice that strengthens clarity and self-confidence. Example: consider Daniel, a corporate trainer, who noticed participants disengaging during his workshops. His voice often remained flat, even when emphasizing key points. He recorded his sessions and discovered that rising and falling tones were inconsistent and pauses were too brief. After practicing intentional modulation, by emphasizing important phrases in varying pitch, his presentations became more compelling, engaging, and memorable. His confidence grew because he could hear and control the impact of his voice. Pacing and volume are closely linked to tone. Modulating the speed of your speech allows your audience time to absorb ideas. Speaking too fast can confuse listeners, while speaking too slowly can bore them. Adjusting volume emphasizes critical points or conveys emotion. Louder tones can express passion, confidence, or urgency. Softer tones can create intimacy, reflection, or suspense. The combination of pacing and volume ensures your message is dynamic and captivating rather than static or flat. Example: Emily, a young lawyer presenting a complex case, initially rushed through explanations and spoke softly during key arguments. Her audience appeared confused and disengaged. She practiced slowing her pace slightly while emphasizing critical points with controlled volume. The effect was immediate. Her delivery became more authoritative and persuasive, and her confidence increased as she felt in command of her message. Inflection is the variation in pitch that gives speech musicality. It signals questions, emphasis, or excitement, and helps guide listeners through your narrative. Avoid speaking in a single pitch because monotone speech diminishes engagement and clarity. Strategic inflection makes your words more memorable and your speech more dynamic. Inflection also conveys confidence because it signals that you are intentional and aware of the energy in your voice. Example: Sarah, a motivational speaker, noticed her speeches lacked energy despite strong content. She began practicing inflection by emphasizing key words and changing pitch to reflect emotion and importance. Her audience responded with more focus and engagement, and Sarah's confidence soared because her words now carried the energy she intended. Expression is more than pitch and volume. It includes emotional resonance and authenticity. Your tone communicates not just facts, but feelings: excitement, urgency, curiosity, or empathy. Aligning your tone with your message ensures that your speech feels genuine rather than mechanical. Audiences detect dissonance between words and tone and respond, unconsciously, to authenticity. Confident speakers use tone to reinforce meaning and connect emotionally with their audience. Example: Michael, a teacher explaining a historical event, initially read the facts in a monotone. His students appeared disengaged. He began practicing expressing all curiosity and urgency through subtle changes in tone and volume while narrating the story. The classroom energy shifted dramatically. Students became attentive and emotionally engaged. Michael's confidence grew as he realized that tone amplified his ability to inspire understanding and excitement. Pauses are another essential tool in tone modulation. Pausing allows listeners to absorb information, emphasizes critical points, and creates anticipation or reflection. Pauses also give speakers time to breathe, gather thoughts, and maintain composure. A well-placed pause can make a phrase linger in the mind of the audience, enhancing both clarity and impact. Example: Raj, a young entrepreneur, giving a pitch, learned to insert brief pauses after key statistics and statements to allow investors to process information. These pauses created tension and anticipation, making the key messages more memorable. His delivery felt more confident because he controlled the rhythm and flow of speech rather than rushing. Combining tone modulation with storytelling amplifies the impact of both. When telling a story, a speaker uses tone to convey character, emotion, action, and tension. This creates vivid experiences in the minds of listeners. Tone variation in storytelling makes narratives come alive and engages both logic and emotion, enhancing clarity and connection. Example: Rachel, a nonprofit coordinator presenting the journey of a program she led, modulated her tone to reflect the struggles, challenges, and triumphs of the story. Characters were brought to life through pitch and volume shifts. Pauses were used strategically to highlight moments of suspense and reflection. The audience became fully immersed and emotionally invested. Her confidence grew because the story and her tone worked together to deliver maximum impact. Practicing tone modulation requires experimentation, awareness, and repetition. Read passages aloud, emphasizing different words with varied pitch and volume. Record yourself and observe which approaches are most engaging. Practice incorporating pauses and inflection to create natural rhythm. Gradually, this awareness becomes internalized and automatic, enhancing your overall confidence and effectiveness in any speaking situation. Example: Omar, a young executive struggling with presentations, dedicated 15 minutes each day to reading aloud and experimenting with tonal variation. He noticed improvements in attention and responsiveness during real meetings. His voice became more expressive, persuasive, and authentic, which increased his confidence and his influence. Mastering tone modulation and expression is a lifelong process. Every conversation, presentation, or speech is an opportunity to practice. Observe how others respond and adjust accordingly. Experiment with pitch, rhythm, pacing, and volume. Notice the energy and authenticity in your voice and refine continuously. Confident speakers understand that tone is not decoration, but a strategic tool that conveys meaning, emotion, and authority, aligning words with presence to inspire connection and understanding. Your voice is most compelling when clarity, confidence, and expression converge. Tone modulation transforms words into experiences. Your message becomes not only heard but felt. Your speech commands attention, inspires action, and creates resonance because the audience not only understands your ideas, but experiences them. Your confidence grows naturally because you know your voice carries both meaning and emotion. Chapter 9. Exercises to strengthen voice and presence. Speaking confidently and clearly is a skill that improves with intentional practice. Just like athletes strengthen muscles through repeated movement, speakers strengthen their voice presence and clarity through targeted exercises. These exercises help you develop vocal strength, control, projection, clarity, pacing, and emotional expression, while simultaneously increasing your comfort and confidence in any speaking situation. Consistency and mindfulness in practice turn isolated skills into lasting habits that naturally enhance every interaction you have. The first exercise focuses on breathing. Breath is the foundation of a strong voice. Controlled breathing allows you to project confidently, speak clearly, and maintain composure when nervous. Begin by inhaling deeply through your nose, allowing your abdomen to expand. Hold for a moment, then exhale slowly and steadily. Repeat this several times, focusing on calm, deliberate breaths. As you become comfortable, try speaking a sentence on a single exhale. This trains breath control and builds vocal stamina. Example: consider Emma, a young lawyer preparing for courtroom presentations. She practiced deep abdominal breathing daily and noticed that her voice became more resonant and steady. When she spoke in actual hearings, she could sustain sentences clearly and confidently, even under pressure. The controlled breath gave her a natural anchor for composure and clarity. Vocal warm-ups are another essential exercise. Start by humming gently to relax vocal cords, then move to scales or simple vowel sounds. Experiment with varying pitch and volume. Gradually articulate tongue twisters or challenging word combinations to improve diction and clarity. These exercises enhance articulation, prevent strain, and increase vocal flexibility. Example: Daniel, a motivational speaker, struggled with clarity when speaking quickly. He incorporated daily warm-ups using humming scales and tongue twisters. His articulation improved dramatically. His words became crisp and easy to understand, while his confidence grew because he felt in control of his voice. Projection exercises help your voice carry without shouting. Stand with feet shoulder-width apart, posture upright, and shoulders relaxed. Speak a simple phrase, first softly, then gradually increase volume, while maintaining clarity and even tone. Imagine your words reaching the farthest listener in the room, without strain. Visualize your voice moving beyond your physical self, with confidence and purpose. Example: Sarah, a teacher who often spoke quietly in classrooms, practiced projecting phrases across the room using visualization. She noticed students were more attentive. Her voice carried with authority, and her confidence soared as she realized her natural volume was sufficient to command presence without shouting. Pacing and rhythm exercises develop natural flow and control. Start by reading aloud passages at different speeds. Slowly exaggerate the rhythm of sentences to notice natural pauses and stresses. Then gradually return to normal pacing with awareness of clarity and emphasis. This trains your mind and voice to adapt dynamically during conversations or presentations. Example: Raj, a young entrepreneur, struggled to maintain audience attention during pitches. He practiced reading aloud and experimenting with pacing and rhythm. He learned to pause for emphasis and vary tempo, which made his presentations more engaging and his delivery more confident. The awareness of pacing helped him connect effectively with listeners. Mirror exercises strengthen presence and body language. Stand in front of a mirror and speak to yourself. Observe posture, gestures, facial expressions, and alignment with words. Practice conveying authority, openness, and emotion through gestures and expressions. Notice how intentional movements enhance your voice and confidence. Example: Rachel, a project manager, often felt invisible during team meetings. She practiced delivering key points in front of a mirror, using deliberate gestures and facial expressions. Her presence became more commanding, her words clearer, and her confidence more tangible, as she saw herself embodying authority and authenticity. Storytelling exercises build narrative skills and emotional connection. Prepare a short story related to your personal experience or a concept you want to convey. Practice delivering it aloud, focusing on tone, inflection, pacing, gestures, and pauses. Refine until the story feels engaging and natural. This exercise combines clarity, confidence, emotional expression, and presence. Example: Omar, a nonprofit coordinator, practiced sharing stories about program successes. He varied tone and pace and used gestures to emphasize emotion. His stories became more engaging and memorable. His confidence in delivering presentations increased because he had practiced narrative structure and delivery deliberately. Feedback exercises accelerate growth. Record yourself speaking or presenting and critically review your performance. Note areas of strength and aspects that need improvement, and incorporate adjustments into subsequent practice sessions. You can also seek feedback from trusted peers or mentors to gain perspective and refine your skills. Example: Emily, a young engineer, recorded her presentations and listened carefully. She noticed certain words were rushed and gestures were inconsistent. She adjusted and practiced again. Over weeks, her delivery became smoother, clearer, and more confident. Feedback turned practice into measurable improvement. Impromptu speaking exercises develop adaptability and mental clarity. Practice speaking spontaneously on random topics for 1 to 2 minutes. Focus on maintaining clarity, logical flow, and engaging tone even without preparation. This strengthens confidence, poise, and the ability to think on your feet. Example: Michael, a business student, feared class discussions where questions were unpredictable. He began practicing impromptu topics daily. He learned to organize thoughts, quickly speak clearly, and maintain composure. This built confidence, and he became a more effective participant in discussions and presentations. Visualization combined with practice reinforces presence and confidence. Imagine yourself speaking to a large audience with perfect clarity, strong projection, and engaging presence. Visualize gestures, tone, facial expressions, and audience response. Then rehearse aloud, embodying this visualization. This aligns mental expectation with physical performance. Example: Lily, an aspiring speaker, visualized herself delivering a keynote address with confidence and audience engagement. She practiced aloud following the visualization. Her delivery became fluid and natural because the rehearsal had trained both mind and body for presence and clarity. Consistency is the ultimate key. With repeated deliberate practice, these exercises become ingrained habits. Your voice gains strength and flexibility, your body language becomes natural and authoritative, and your presence commands attention. Exercises that develop breathing, vocal clarity, pacing, storytelling, feedback adaptation, and visualization build a foundation of confidence that translates into every interaction you have. Example: Daniel combined all exercises daily. He noticed measurable improvement in projection, clarity, emotional expression, and audience connection. His confidence soared because practice had transformed his natural abilities into deliberate skills that could be relied upon in any situation. Mastering exercises for voice and presence is an ongoing journey. Each repetition, each reflection, each adjustment strengthens the tools of confident communication. Your voice, body, mind, and presence align to create influence, clarity, and authenticity. Exercises are not a chore, but a pathway to mastery. The more you practice deliberately, the more naturally confidence and clarity become part of your everyday speaking. Chapter 10. Overcoming nervous habits and speaking with poise. Even the most prepared speakers can struggle with nervous habits. These subtle behaviors like fidgeting, pacing, touching the face, saying filler words, or avoiding eye contact can undermine confidence and clarity. Nervous habits are natural reactions to stress or anticipation. They are often unconscious, but they are noticeable to your audience and can distract from your message. The key is not to eliminate all signs of tension immediately, but to recognize, manage, and transform them into composure and presence. Speaking with poise is the art of maintaining control over your body, mind, and voice, even under pressure. The first step in overcoming nervous habits is awareness. Observe yourself during practice, meetings, or recordings. Notice the gestures, repetitions, and movements that signal anxiety. Identifying patterns gives you the power to consciously adjust and replace them with more controlled behaviors. Awareness transforms automatic reactions into intentional actions. Example: consider Emily, a young teacher who noticed she frequently touched her hair and fidgeted with her pen when presenting lessons. She recorded herself teaching and observed these habits. She then practiced maintaining open hands and using purposeful gestures to emphasize points. Over time, the nervous gestures disappeared and her presence became steady and commanding. Breathing techniques are essential in managing nervous energy. Deep, controlled breaths calm the nervous system, reduce tension, and give your voice strength and stability. Focusing on breathing before and during speaking shifts attention away from anxious thoughts and into your message. Breath becomes a grounding tool that supports poise and clarity. Example: Daniel, a new lawyer delivering courtroom arguments, experienced rapid speech and trembling hands when nervous. He began practicing deep abdominal breathing before entering the courtroom and continued subtly between sentences. His words became steadier and more authoritative, and he noticed that his physical tension reduced because breath anchored both his body and mind. Replacing filler words like or like with deliberate pauses enhances both clarity and presence. Filler words often arise from anxiety or rushing thoughts. Pausing consciously creates emphasis, allows your mind to organize ideas, and communicates confidence to listeners. Silence is not a weakness. It is a tool that strengthens your speech. Example: Raj, an entrepreneur pitching to investors, struggled with filler words during high-pressure presentations. He practiced pausing deliberately whenever he felt the urge to say, or, recording himself and reviewing feedback helped him replace hesitation with silence. His delivery became more polished and persuasive, and his confidence grew because pauses conveyed thoughtfulness and control. Gestures can also help channel nervous energy positively. Intentional hand movements and body language reinforce your message rather than distract from it. Purposeful gestures, open posture, and steady movement communicate confidence even when internal nerves are present. Transform fidgeting into expressive motion that emphasizes points. Example: Sarah, a motivational speaker, initially twirled her hair and shuffled papers during speeches. She practiced replacing these habits with gestures that illustrated her points, leaning forward slightly to engage her audience or opening her palms to convey transparency and sincerity. Her presence strengthened, and the audience focused on her message rather than her nervous energy. Eye contact is a critical element in speaking with poise. Avoiding the eyes of your listeners signals uncertainty. Nervous speakers often glance around or down at notes. Maintaining balanced eye contact with different audience members projects confidence and creates connection. Even brief engagement with each listener builds authority and calm. Example: Michael, a business student, noticed he avoided eye contact during class presentations because of nervousness. His teacher suggested he practice engaging with 3 to 5 individuals in the room, alternating naturally. He observed that students responded more attentively, and his nerves decreased as his eyes connected with listeners, reinforcing poise and presence. Mindset plays a central role in overcoming nervous habits. Focus on the message rather than self-judgment. Replace fear of making mistakes with curiosity and engagement with the audience. Accept imperfection as part of authentic communication. Nervousness diminishes when attention shifts from self-consciousness to purposeful connection. Example: Rachel, a nonprofit coordinator, often felt anxious before speaking to donors. She reframed her mindset, focusing on sharing meaningful stories rather than fearing judgment. Her voice, gestures, and posture became more fluid, and nervous habits naturally diminished as her focus shifted outward toward her audience. Visualization is another effective tool. Imagine yourself speaking confidently and clearly, standing tall, gesturing naturally, maintaining eye contact, and projecting a steady voice. See yourself delivering the speech with poise, despite potential distractions. This mental rehearsal primes both mind and body to perform with composure in real situations. Example: Omar, a young executive, visualized giving presentations with complete control over his voice and gestures. He practiced aloud following the visualization, and on the day of the presentation, his body and mind aligned, resulting in fluid, confident, and poised delivery. Developing a short ritual such as light stretching, deep breaths, positive affirmations, or a brief vocal warm-up signals to your body and mind that you are prepared. This ritual establishes physical and mental readiness, reducing nervous habits and enhancing presence. Example: Lily, an aspiring speaker, created a 5-minute pre-presentation routine of breathing, posture alignment, and vocal exercises. She found that by the time she stepped onto the stage, nervous habits like fidgeting or rushed speech were significantly reduced, and her delivery felt natural and composed. Finally, practice under pressure strengthens poise. Gradually expose yourself to real-life speaking scenarios that challenge confidence. Start with small groups and larger audiences, and eventually high-stakes situations. Each experience reinforces control over nervous habits and solidifies confident presence. Example: Daniel, a young lawyer, rehearsed presentations with friends, then colleagues, and finally in courtroom simulations. He applied breathing, pauses, gestures, and eye contact consistently. Through repeated exposure, he learned to maintain poise, even under intense pressure, making nervous habits nearly imperceptible. Overcoming nervous habits and speaking with poise is a journey of awareness, deliberate practice, mindset, and self-compassion. Each habit you transform, each pause you embrace, and each gesture you control strengthens clarity and confidence. Your audience will respond not only to your words, but to the composed, authentic, and engaging presence that reflects mastery of both voice and body. Nervousness becomes manageable energy, channeled into effective communication, presence, and impact. Conclusion: embracing your voice and your power. Speaking confidently and clearly is not a destination but a journey. Every word you speak is an opportunity to connect, inspire, influence, and express who you truly are. Your voice is more than sound. It is the embodiment of your thoughts, emotions, energy, and presence. Every chapter in this journey, from discovering the power within your voice, overcoming fear, mastering clarity, harnessing body language, listening deeply, practicing deliberately, telling stories, modulating tone, strengthening voice, to overcoming nervous habits, has been about one central truth: your voice is uniquely yours, and it carries immense power when used with awareness, intention, and authenticity. Confidence grows when you embrace your voice with patience and persistence. When you practice deliberately, seek feedback, and refine your delivery, you transform fear into energy and hesitation into poise. Each technique, exercise, and insight shared is a tool that you can apply and adapt in real life to strengthen not only your speech, but your presence and impact. When you speak clearly, your ideas are understood. When you speak confidently, your ideas are respected. When you speak authentically, your ideas inspire and resonate. Example: imagine Maya, Leo, Rachel, and all the others who practiced, observed, and refined their voices. Each took small, deliberate steps, faced fear, adjusted posture, modulated tone, and embraced storytelling. Their voices became instruments of influence. Their presence commanded attention. Their words left a lasting impression. Their transformation was not instant, but cumulative, a testament to the power of practice, mindfulness, and courage. Your journey will have moments of hesitation and uncertainty, but each experience is an opportunity to grow. Your nervous habits can be transformed into poised gestures, your fear into fuel, your words into messages that move hearts and minds. A combination of awareness, preparation, empathy, and presence ensures that you are not just heard, but felt. The world does not need another imitation. It needs your voice, in its truest, most authentic form, sharing your perspective, insight, and passion. As you continue this journey, remember that every interaction is a stage. Every conversation is an opportunity. Every word is a brushstroke in the story you are painting with your voice. Let curiosity guide you, reflection strengthen you, and persistence empower you. Speak with clarity so your ideas are understood. Speak with confidence so your presence is felt. Speak with authenticity so your impact is lasting. The ability to speak confidently and clearly is a lifelong practice and a lifelong gift. By nurturing your voice, refining your message, harnessing your presence, and embracing your authenticity, you unlock the power to inspire, lead, and connect. Your voice is your signature, your instrument, and your legacy. Let it be heard with strength, clarity, and unwavering confidence. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.